Wang and Shen Yue in love, a silent romance the whole world can feel it. Before you dive into this emotional journey, take a moment to subscribe for more heart-shaking stories because what you are about to read will turn your entire imagination upside down and pull you into a world where silence speaks louder than any voice you have ever heard. This is not just a story, it is an experience, and if you have not subscribed yet, now is the moment because the next scenes will change everything you think you know about Wang and Shen Yue. From the very beginning, their connection was something that did not need explanations. They could stand in the same room without saying a single word and yet everyone around them would feel the pull between them. It was like watching two hearts communicate in a language only they understood. No declarations, no dramatic confessions, just a quiet gravity that kept drawing them closer again and again. The day the whispers started, they were shooting a calm evening scene on a peaceful set. The lights were warm, the wind gentle, and the atmosphere sweet with possibility. Shen Yue walked into the scene with her usual modest grace, her eyes soft, her step steady but carrying something deeper. Dylan watched her enter, and the moment their eyes met, the camera crew paused without being asked. Something shifted in the air, a rippling warmth that felt almost unreal. He smiled, not the playful smile he gave to the world, but a tender smile that he reserved for moments he could not hide his true feelings. Shen Yue returned the smile, faint but full of meaning. The director watched them with astonishment because their chemistry poured into the space effortlessly, turning a simple scene into something magical without a single spoken line. Later that same evening, something even more unexpected happened. After a long day, the crew was packing up, and the two of them found themselves standing by a quiet corner of the set. The sky was dim, sprinkled with soft fading lights, and everything felt calm. Shen Yue was leaning on a wall, her arms gently folded, her gaze soft as she watched Dylan approach slowly. He stopped in front of her, not too close, not too far, just close enough for their breaths to mix in the cool air. He looked at her with a tenderness he rarely showed, and though he did not say a word, she understood everything. She nodded slightly, almost as if answering a question he had not spoken aloud. And in that moment, the silence between them became a love letter written without ink. A few days later, fans began noticing the subtle changes. They moved differently around each other. Their eyes lingered longer. Their smiles softened whenever the other entered the room. It was not dramatic, not chaotic, not loud. It was gentle, pure, unspoken, but powerful. So powerful that people thousands of miles away could feel it just by looking at a single picture or watching a short behind-the-scenes clip. One night during another shoot, the set lights went off for a brief moment due to a technical fault. In that short silence, when everyone was adjusting and waiting, Dylan instinctively stepped closer to Shen Yue and touched her arm lightly, guiding her away from the equipment in the dark so she would not trip. She looked up at him with a gratitude that melted the quiet night. In that dim, uncertain space, the bond between them glowed brighter than any spotlight. The moment the lights came back on, the crew caught sight of them standing close, their hands almost touching. Neither of them moved away. It was just a small scene, but it held the weight of 1,000 confessions. None of the crew dared to ruin the moment with a comment. They simply smiled, because they knew true affection when they saw it. But the moment that truly revealed everything happened during a late-night filming session. The set was quiet, the actors tired, the mood heavy from hours of work. Shen Yue was sitting on a bench, her shoulders slumping from exhaustion. Dylan approached her slowly, sat down beside her, and without saying anything, placed his jacket gently over her shoulders. She looked at him with surprise, her eyes shimmering under the dim lights. He smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair away from her face. Still, no words were spoken. And they did not need them. She leaned her head lightly on his shoulder, and he closed his eyes for a moment, letting the stillness hold them together. The crew watched from afar, frozen in stunned silence, because the scene unfolding before them was more genuine, more beautiful, more emotional than anything they had filmed that night. Soon after, clips from the set began circulating online. Fans noticed every tiny detail, every glance, every soft gesture. They wrote comments saying they could feel the love, they could feel the connection, they could feel the silent romance blooming right before their eyes. And when they appeared together at a later public event, the world felt it again. They walked side by side, close enough for their arms to brush. Shen Yue kept smiling shyly while Dylan looked at her with a gentle expression that said everything he never needed to say out loud. Flash after flash from cameras captured the glowing warmth between them. People whispered, their hearts racing. Reporters paused. Fans screamed with joy. Because the truth had become undeniable. Their love did not need any announcement. It did not require dramatic speeches. It simply existed, strong and steady, carried by looks and gestures and quiet moments that spoke louder than any voice. It was a love that lived in the details. In the glances. In the silence. In the little smiles. In the way Dylan always noticed her first. In the way Shen Yue always relaxed when he was near. In the way their steps matched without trying. In the way the world felt warmer when they were together. A silent romance. A powerful connection. A feeling the entire world could sense even without a single word spoken. And as the spotlight grew brighter, their bond only grew stronger. A love that did not shout, did not demand, did not try to impress. It simply existed, unbroken, steady, glowing softly like a flame that never goes out. A love the whole world could feel. The days that followed were filled with whispers and quiet electricity. Everywhere Dylan Wang and Shen Yue went, people could sense something shifting between them. Not loud, not chaotic, just a peaceful warmth that followed them like a soft glow. Their silent romance had grown so strong that even the smallest shared glance felt like a confession written in the air. But the moment that changed everything happened during their final week of shooting. The cast had gathered on a soft hill for a sunset scene, the sky painted with warm colors that stretched over the horizon. The crew was quiet, the cameras ready, and the world seemed to slow down just for them. Shen Yue stood by the edge of the hill, her hair moving gently with the evening breeze. She looked calm on the outside, but inside her heart was racing. Something in the atmosphere felt different, more delicate, more meaningful. She sensed that something was coming, something she had been waiting for without realizing it. Dylan walked toward her slowly, his steps steady, his eyes focused only on her. The crew watched silently as he approached, almost forgetting they were supposed to be working. There was a softness in his expression that no one had ever seen before, a quiet certainty that made the moment feel sacred. He stopped in front of her, close enough for her to feel the warmth his presence carried. For a few seconds, they just looked at each other, the wind brushing gently between them. Shen Yue lowered her gaze shyly, but Dylan reached out and tilted her chin slightly, so her eyes met his again. Still no words. Because none were needed. The silence between them felt like a story finally reaching its climax, a confession rising not from the voice but from the heart. Then something happened that stunned every single person on set. Dylan slid his hand behind her back gently, guiding her closer. Shen Yue let out a soft breath, her eyes shining under the warm sky. Their foreheads touched lightly, a gesture so intimate that the world around them seemed to vanish. The crew held their breaths, watching a love scene that was not acting, not scripted, not rehearsed. This was real. Shen Yue closed her eyes for a moment, leaning into him, letting herself feel the truth she had been hiding from. Dylan held her just a little tighter, his heart beating fast, his emotions trembling in the quiet air. When they finally pulled apart, Shen Yue looked at him with teary eyes. Not sad tears, but tears of understanding. Tears of release. Tears that whispered the feelings she had carried silently for so long. Dylan smiled softly, brushing a thumb across her cheek to wipe one tear away. And though he still did not speak, she understood him perfectly. Everything was clear now, / Everything was finally spoken without a single word. The director did not shout cut. He did not dare break the moment. Instead, he quietly signaled the camera operator to keep rolling, capturing a scene that would later become the most talked about moment in the entire fictional production. When the shoot wrapped for the night, the cast drifted away one by one, giving them space. Shen Yue remained seated on a stone bench, her eyes still shimmering with emotion. Dylan approached her again, slower this time, almost nervous even though he had just shown more honesty than ever before. He sat beside her, their shoulders brushing softly. The crickets sang in the quiet night, the sky darkened gently, and the last hints of sunset faded into deep twilight. Shen Yue broke the silence for the first time, her voice soft and trembling. "I have felt this for so long," she said quietly, her eyes fixed on the ground. "I just never knew if you felt it too." Dylan turned toward her, his gaze gentle and unwavering. He took her hand slowly, intertwining their fingers with a tenderness that made her heart flutter. His voice came out low and steady. "I felt it the first day I met you." Her breath caught in her chest as he continued. "I did not want to ruin anything," he said, "I did not want to confuse you. But every day, it grew stronger. Every moment with you felt right. And tonight, I could not hide it anymore." Shen Yue looked up at him, her lips parting with emotion. She squeezed his hand, her heart full and warm. "Then what now?" she whispered, her voice trembling with hope. Dylan smiled, a real smile, not the playful one, not the public one, but the one that belonged only to her. "Now, we stop pretending," he said. "Now, we let it be what it has always been." Shen Yue leaned her head on his shoulder again, this time without hesitation, without fear. He wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close as the night wrapped around them like a soft blanket. There were no cameras. No audience. No noise. Just two hearts finally speaking the same language in the calm night air. From that day on, everything changed. Their connection deepened, their smiles became brighter, and the silent warmth between them turned into something undeniable. The world could feel it, fans could see it, and even in the smallest behind-the-scenes clips, their love glowed like a soft light that refused to dim. A love that needed no dramatic confessions. A love that needed no explanations. A love that did not beg for attention. A love that simply existed. Pure. Quiet. Real. A silent romance that the whole world could feel. And now, the world finally understood why.